The Light Army was summoned by Azeroth. This is bad? Oh my god. What do you mean this is bad? And what is bad? Let's see what this is all about here. Who the hell summoned the Light Army here from Doran?
Based on new patch, it's almost certain that it was Azeroth that sent the Light Army to defend the Sunwell, but this makes absolutely no sense. I mean, all the lore points that Azeroth is neutral, so why is Azeroth summoning the Light Army and not her followers? We know that Zalat ultimately succeeded. I mean, she got to the World Core after the finale of this already.
I mean, just to answer that question, I would think that the Light Army would be most well prepared to fight the Void. Just makes sense. They're the ones who would be able to counter the Void better than any. What was she to summon an army of druids? That'd be a fucking bad idea. They're just going to end up having like some kind of druid orgy with each other because they're all a bunch of furries. So, of course, it's the Light Army. That's what I would think they would summon.
Army, but if Azeroth is shooting out the Light Force, could it be possible that Light got to her first to corrupt the world?
Summoning a bunch of druids, bad idea.
We know so far the Old Gods, the Void, the Titans have all attempted and almost successfully converted Azeroth, aka Anhara, to their own cosmological force. Why would the Light be any different? So why is Azeroth summoning the Light Army to her defense? What is even going on? With Midnight now released, there is so much to catch up to, and you can do that faster than ever with WoW coaching and Overgear. It's not just about playing the game more, you can put in a ton of time and never get better. Sometimes you need a more experienced outside perspective. This is where Overgear steps in. It connects you with the best players, and they will pinpoint your exact problems that you're making, saving you so much time. It's amazing for both PvP and PvE, and you can become a much better player with minimal time investment with their coaching. Best of all, you can book a session immediately. You can also use my code 10Dorons to get an awesome discount, and you can start your own personal coaching session today with my link in the description below.
Nice.
So even more interesting developments are going on now that we have information on what is actually happening with Zalat and her real plan, on how and why she decided to invade the Sunwell out of all the places. As you may have seen from my previous videos, Zalat's real goal wasn't at all to invade Quel'Thalas, to destroy or conquer the Elven Kingdom. The whole idea was to take the Sunwell leyline connection so that she could turn it to the Void Darkwell, and then she used that Darkwell as a giant portal to channel thousands of Void soldiers, and probably herself as well, directly into the World Soul, as they say, to the heart of Azeroth.
Right, it seems like that's what was happening in the cinematic, especially at the end of it, when you kill Lura, she goes down into the well. Now, she's probably going into the World Soul.
Now, people have speculated this based on the cinematic, and you can literally see the Void guys falling down into the heart of Azeroth in the cinematic itself, but this was actually confirmed in the Dawnwell final dialogues that we've learned about, as they told us that they are afraid that a true invasion is about to begin. Everything was really a preparation. However, we have another very interesting development that ties into this, which is based on another dialogue from the Sunwell ending, and also a few hints the community noticed. So, remember the first cinematic, the Zalat army caught Quel'Thalas by surprise, and then Liaden had that moment when the Light Army was summoned to defend the Sunwell and Quel'Thalas, but we didn't really figure out how that worked out exactly, like who summoned the Light Army, what was the goal. And I remember initially I was thinking this was the Light Arati Emperor and not just like a general call to all the Light practitioners on Azeroth. However, here, there is something really interesting. Let's start with the hints and then let's move on to the actual evidence we have from the cinematic. So this is just a music thing that you can observe yourself, but in the original cinematic, when the Light Army is summoned, you can hear this Radiant song singing, a very unique voice going on, and then in the Haranir zone, you can also hear the exact same background music related to Anhara. Now, this is a video in itself, and if you don't know about Anhara, check out my channel. I got a full detailed video explaining this one and everything we know. Long story short, Anhara is, as far as we know, Azeroth. It's possible that Azeroth could be a Titan name, and as the Haranirs say, Anhara was their goddess that lived in the cradle that is now the Rift of Alm. She was violently ripped out of there by the Titans and very likely placed in a Titan prison, and very likely in Khazakar in the so-called World Core Chamber. Now, this song that is heard around here is the same song that is heard when the Light Army is summoned, which is almost certainly the Radiant song. Honestly, at first I didn't think much of this, as it could just be Blizzard recycling the music to make it sound epic, but now we essentially have a confirmation that this hint is actually real. So unfortunately in 12.0.5...
He's not going to play the songs for us? Damn, I kind of want to hear it. So the same song played at the Sunwell the moment that it opens up and the Light Army is summoned is played over there. By the way, the music in that zone entirely is just amazing.
When the reunion
I know I've said
already
that before.
ended in a bit of a cringe manner where everyone is now friends, but we did get some really interesting dialogues after the Dark World, the Zalat corrupted, was cleansed and turned into the Dawn World. First dialogue I covered in the previous video talking about how Zalat had already reached the core of the planet with her army, but second dialogue is the Lady Liadrim talking with Arator discussing how the Light Army was actually summoned. Essentially, she just said that she heard the Radiant song when she prayed for protection during the invasion. Arator asks her if she knows how is it possible that the Sunwell managed to summon everyone. As you may know, that never actually happened in the past, even before when the Sunwell was destroyed. Liadrin says she heard a voice, a melody, the Radiant song.
For sure she's
the
talking about
voice
the Radiant
whispered to
song.
her, everything will be alright. I think at this point in time, it's almost certainly Azeroth, especially when combined with the music hint, but the true question now is how, in what way is it possible that Azeroth summoned the light? I mean, how is Azeroth even using light energy? Why didn't she summon the Haranir or, I don't know, any other servant? Like, how did she possibly even have anything to do with her light? Like, she couldn't have summoned us, the champions, but she summoned Terralion and the light users, and here things start to get really interesting. Furthermore,
Well, isn't the Sunwell by lore like a gaping wound or something into Azeroth? Like that's what I thought it was originally. It's not just like this puddle that sits on the surface. It goes deeper than that. So I would think she'd be able to have access to it depending on how deep it goes into the planet.
in these dialogues, Beledar is also mentioned, and that
Gaping,
connection to
yes.
light crystals, so I think that mystery is finally going to get solved soon as well. So one thing that is obvious from the start is that the Sunwell seems to be connected to Azeroth through the ley lines, as we had recently learned, and it's probably how she even managed to send the energy to the...
That's right. It's connected to all the ley lines, which are connected to Azeroth. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's not just some weird puddle, surface puddle. It goes a lot deeper than that.
Sunwell in the first place. If the entire Anhara thing is true, Azeroth is more like a life energy, elemental energy type being, and she shouldn't in any way be connected to the light unless something else is happening down there that we don't know. On one side, there is a theory that the Radiant Song is a lie, it could be a manipulation, it might not truly be Azeroth, and that this voice is just like masquerading as someone else and manipulating us. Maybe Azot helped out there, or the light was duped so that ultimately Zalat could accomplish what she managed to accomplish, but the other possibility is actually something entirely different. Now, the light, as we know by the cosmology chart, especially the latest cosmology chart, is just a force. I mean, this has been obvious for years, but recently they really doubled down on this. Light is not this inner force, this free will that helps the good people, but it's just a force like the arcane or fel magic or the void. It is not inherently good. So obviously, based on this lore,
and the light, the whole thing about paladins and everything, and then any other light wielders like a priest, is it requires a thing to channel it. The light typically can't just be beamed down on its own, show up out of the sky because it feels like it. It usually needs somebody to call upon it, to channel it, and then once that's done, it can take over, maybe cause you to go light blind or something.
Wouldn't even make sense that Azeroth summoned the Light Army as if there are like these moral protectors of Azeroth, which leads us into the possibility that the light...
I was thinking of the Well of Eternity, yes, when I'm talking about the well, but I knew that now it's called, what is it, the Dawn Well, is connected to the ley lines of the planet, which are connected, they're supposedly like the veins of Azeroth. So there is a connection there. So Azeroth would be able to tap into the well if it needed to.
It already corrupted Azeroth, and they have tried converting her first, and that is why the Light sent the Light Army to protect us. As we know, various forces throughout history have attempted to convert Azeroth from the demons to Zalat and the Void Lords to the Old Gods, and why would the Light be any different? I mean, my long-standing speculation was that Beledar and those various light crystals throughout Azeroth are like artifacts of the ancient Light invasion that happened, like similar to what you may remember in Revendred, and that the Light tried to take Azeroth for herself. I think at this point, seeing how powerful our World Soul is, I mean, it is pretty safe to assume that every force in the universe wants it on their side, as it would make them the most powerful force. Even the Death Realm wanted to convert Azeroth recently. The conspiracy, though, what could be going on, is that there could be potentially teams that have been organized between these cosmological forces. I mean, recently we learned that the Shadowlands are fake and very likely a Titan creation, which leads us into the very probable theory that the Titans and the Death Realm had collaborated to create this project, essentially tying their fake Death Realm into our planet and like probably powering up the prison. Would it really be so outlandish to think that the Light collaborated with the Titans too? I mean, after all, they do seem pretty cosmologically aligned when it comes to order, and the Light helped them to maintain this prison over Azeroth. Or even crazier, I know, like Tinfoil had theory on, but like when the Naru infused the Sunwell, maybe that is like when they reached the World Soul. However, based on all the recent lore, all the hints right now are pointing to the fact that Azeroth should be neutral. Potentially the life force of the cosmos, she's aligned to life, which we are a part of. Based on this, Azeroth shouldn't be sending light energy or void energy or arcane energy. It's pretty safe to assume that if she is doing any of that, it could be possible that something had gotten to her already. We do know for a fact that multiple forces almost managed to convert Azeroth, and
yeah, I think our Azeroth can use anything that she has access to. That's like I said, I think through the ley line she has access there. And why would she pick to summon the light? It just seems like the most prepared army to fight against the void. It would seem like to be the best choice if you're going to choose any sort of army to fight against them. So I think Azeroth would even access necromantic energy if it could. Right? I think that it doesn't mind whatever energy it can use, it will use.
Were stopped last moment, but who knows?
It's a balancer
like,
of all energies. I think that's what Azeroth's going to end up being.
Is going on down there. I mean, imagine if the Light, the Titans, the Old Gods, the Void all did like a half-botched job of converting her. What type of a mess is going on down there in the World Chamber? I mean, this will be revealed pretty soon what happened, because we know the Titans will return and very likely to finish their job, but it will be interesting to see whether the Titans are actually working together with the Light or they are just competing for themselves. I'm pretty sure the Light is not out here to defend us, the denizens of Azeroth, because they really like us, they like Azeroth. Almost certainly they have their own agenda that will be revealed soon as well. Thanks for watching. Check out what Zelda's plan is and how she reached the World Soul already by clicking on the screen, and subscribe to my brand new Witcher lore channel that recently opened by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, overall, I mean, the Azeroth summoning the light, I think, is what happened there. I think Azeroth was the one, considering the Radiant song line that we got at the end of the raid. So, yeah, she heard the Radiant song. All of a sudden, Army of the Light shows up, and bam, now we're fighting against the Void. That totally makes sense to me that it was Azeroth. I think so. We've had lots of Azeroth interactions already. I mean, the entirety of the War Within, with the Thragar lore, and all that shit about how these, Earthen become Diamond Boys and all that shit. Like, Azeroth's been basically making an army this entire time to fight against the coming threats. She's basically been recruiting people with the song, with whatever influence she can have. So, not a shocker to me that she sent an army to defend the well. We'll see what else happens, though, going forward. A nice video overall from Doran.